Hello, everyone. We meet again in session 6 of the Hanuman Chalisa program. We start with the initial dohas and the verses that we covered in our previous program. Let's start. Shri Guru Charan Saroj Raj Nij Man Mukur Sudhar बरनौ रघुबर बिमल यश जो दायक फल चार बुद्धिहीन तनु जान के सुमिरो पवन कुमार बल बुद्धि विद्या देहु मोहे हरहु कलेश विकार जय हनुमान ज्ञान गुण सागर जय कपीस तिहु लोक उजागर राम दूत अतुलित बल धामा अंजनी पुत्र पवन सुत नामा महावीर विक्रम बजरंगी कुमति निवार सुमति के संगी कंचन वरन विराज सुबेसा कानन कुंडल कुंचित केशा. Now we start with the verses of our session 6. We plan to do our verse 5, 6, 7, and 8 in this session. So let's start with verse 5 or Chopai 5. हाथ वज्र और ध्वजा विराजे कांधे मूंज जनेऊ साजे. In this verse, we describe Hanuman, and we usually see Hanuman depicted, Hanuman's idols or photographs depicted, where in his hand he's holding a thunderbolt and a flag of righteousness. So he holds a thunderbolt and a flag in his hand. Thunderbolt also shows power, and the flag is also manifestation of righteousness. So he uses his powers for righteousness or righteous tasks. And the verse Kandhe Moonj Janeu Saje. So Janeu is a sacred thread that Hindus wear across their body from the shoulder to the hip. And over here in this verse, the description of Hanuman is that he wears that Janeu on his torso. And the reason why this verse is included, or the interpretation of this verse, as I see, is that it is a physical description of Hanuman, that he is a religious person. He believes in the Almighty. So he has a Vajra, a thunderbolt, a very dangerous tool in his hand. But at the same time, he holds a flag. That means he completely, outright, he shows what he stands for righteousness. And also he has the thread, Janeu thread across his body, which is again a physical description, and it shows that he believes in his God and he just wears it on himself, on his being, and he's true to who he is, and everybody who sees him, they can see what he stands for. Let's repeat this verse 4 times more so that we get a grasp of the sounds and are able to be fluent in it. हाथ वज्र और ध्वजा विराजे कांधे मूंज जनेऊ साजे. Again, हाथ वज्र और ध्वजा विराजे, कांधे मूंज जनेऊ साजे. Again, हाथ वज्र और ध्वजा विराजे, कांधे मूंज जनेऊ साजे. And one last time. हाथ वज्र और ध्वजा विराजे, कांधे मूंज जनेऊ साजे. Very good. Moving on to the next verse. This is Chopai 6. And let's say it out slowly first. Shankar Suvan Kesari Nandan, Tej Pratap Mahajagvandan. Again, this is another verse describing Hanuman. It talks about Hanuman, Shankar Suvan. Shankar is a reference to Lord Shiva. Lord Shankar, another way we call Lord Shiva is Lord Shankar. So, Shankar Suvan, you are an incarnation of Lord Shiva, Kesari Nandan, and you are born to Kesari. Shri Kesari is Hanuman's father. Nandan is a small child. So over here, the sentence means you are an avatar of Lord Shiva, and as a kid, you are the delight, the pride of Shri Kesari. Shankar Suvan Kesari Nandan, Tej Pratap Mahajagvandan. Tej is majestic. Pratap is the aura or the glow that comes from a human being or his personality. So your majestic glow, your majestic glamour, as it says here, Mahajagvandan, is amazingly, it is spread all through the world. Jag is the entire world, the entire universe. Tej Pratap Mahajagvandan. It is spread all over the world and it impacts every creature, every living being in this world. So let's repeat it 4 more times. Shankar Suvan Kesari Nandan, Tej Pratap Mahajagvandan. Again, Shankar Suvan Kesari Nandan, Tej Pratap Mahajagvandan. Beautiful. Again, Shankar Suvan Kesari Nandan, Tej Pratap Mahajagvandan. And one last time. Shankar Suvan Kesari Nandan, Tej Pratap Mahajagvandan. Amazing. Moving on to verse 7. I'm going to go through it slowly. Vidyavan Guni Ati Chatur, Ram Kaj Karbe Ko Atur. Now, this verse, again, like all the other verses, are basically describing the characteristics of Sri Hanuman. Vidyavan. Vidyavan is a person who is a learned person. Vidyavan Guni. Guni is a person who has a lot of gun or skills in them, an accomplished person. Ati is, it's like it is what joins the sentence together. You are a learned person, you are a skilled person, and so Ati is and. Chatur. Chatur means very smart. You can understand all that's going on in the world. When people talk to you, if they are fake, whether they are true to themselves. You can understand what's going on. So you are street smart as well. विद्यावान गुनी अति चातुर राम काज करबे को आतुर. So Ram is a reference to Lord Rama. Kaj are Lord Rama's tasks. Karbe ko atur. Uh, you are eager to do the tasks of Lord Rama. Let's repeat this four more times. Slowly first. विद्यावान गुनी अति चातुर राम काज करबे को आतुर. Again. विद्यावान गुनी अति चातुर राम काज करबे को आतुर. Again. विद्यावान गुनी अति चातुर राम काज करबे को आतुर. And the last time, and the fifth time. विद्यावान गुनी अति चातुर राम काज करबे को आतुर. Wonderful. Moving on to the very last verse of this session. Again, this is another verse that describes Lord Hanuman's characteristics. प्रभु चरित्र सुनबे को रसिया राम लखन सीता मन बसिया. So let me kind of give you an interpretation of this verse. Prabhu Charitra Sunbe ko Rasiya. Prabhu basically means the Lord. In this verse, the Lord that is being referred to is Lord Sri Rama. Prabhu Charitra. Now, the Charitra, as is, that word basically means the characteristics or the personality. So, Lord Rama's personality is, if I want to do a direct translation, Sunbe ko Rasiya. Sunbe ko means to listen to, and Rasya means uh, very keen, or like completely engrossed in something. The words, when they are strung together, they actually mean that uh, L- Sri Hanuman was always very keen to hear about any narrations of Lord Sri Rama's life stories. And this particular sentence also refers to an incident from the Ramayana, where Hanuman was supposed to be going on a task of Lord Rama, but he got distracted by the enemy because the enemy used this characteristic of his personality, that he gets completely engrossed in listening to Lord Rama's stories. They used this particular characteristic of him to get him distracted. Obviously, how the story ended is that he was able to see through that and move on to getting the task completed on time. But this particular characteristic of Lord Hanuman is very interesting, that how he has this in his personality and how it has contributed to him being an ardent devotee of Lord Rama. But at the same time, it could be a weakness if not managed properly. And that we see in everyone's lives. We have certain characteristics, they can be our strengths and they can be our weaknesses if used in different situations. And I don't mind talking more about it and going into the detail of what the story is behind this particular verse. We can take that offline. Please feel free to reach out to me for that. But for now, to move on, Ram, Lakhan, Sita Man Basiya. Now, for this particular sentences, there are two kind of translations or interpretations. It could be um, that Lord Hanuman always has Lord Rama, his brother Lakshman, and Devi Sita always in his heart, and so he is always interested to learn more about them or any stories that could kind of give him more information about Lord Sri Rama and his life. Or the other interpretation is that because he is such an ardent devotee of Lord Sri Rama, he always resides in Lord Sri Rama's and Lord Sri Rama's loved ones' hearts. So he always resides in Lord Rama, Lakshman, and Sita Maya's hearts. I'm going to now repeat this verse four more times so that we are fluent with the words. प्रभु चरित्र सुनबे को रसिया राम लखन सीता मन बसिया. Again, प्रभु चरित्र सुनबे को रसिया राम लखन सीता मन बसिया. Again, प्रभु चरित्र सुनबे को रसिया राम लखन सीता मन बसिया. And the last time, प्रभु चरित्र सुनबे को रसिया राम लखन सीता मन बसिया. Great. Amazing. So I believe we've come to the end of our session 6, and we have completed the first, the second doha, and we are through with the first 8 verses or chopais. Practice this, and let's meet in the next session, session 7,